Now, for President Calderon, we're going to look at the Mexican law. Let's look at the way immigrants are treated in the United States versus Mexico. Okay. Not this one. The next one is, okay, federal law. No. Okay, under Mexican law, immigrants must be useful for the country, and they must have the necessary funds for their sustenance and for their dependents. That means that Mexico won't let you stay if you can't afford to feed yourself, house yourself, educate yourself, and medicate yourself. Foreigners in Mexico can be barred from the country if they are not physically or mentally healthy. The general law in Mexico on population says that illegal immigration is a felony and that foreigners who are deported from Mexico and try to re-enter without authorization can be imprisoned for 10 years. And get this one, non-citizens cannot in any way participate in the political affairs of the country. Now, let's look at what we do in terms of illegal aliens. We must give them medical treatment, okay, whereas in Mexico they cannot. We must educate illegals through the 12th grade, whereas there is no education for illegals in Mexico. A deportation due process hearing is required in the United States if we want to deport someone, but in Mexico there's no due process, simply get them out. In the United States, it's a misdemeanor to be illegal, and in Mexico, it is a felony. The bottom line, and by the way, education, which I think I already mentioned, education, welfare, food, medication, we all provide this to illegal aliens, whereas in Mexico, if you can't afford to feed yourself, your family, you're deported. Still with me are constitutional law attorney Ann Coulter and former Texas State Representative Domingo Garcia, as well as Fernando Mateo. All right. So what did you think of that?
I think that the governor of Arizona was brilliant in essence saying, you know, this is what we're going to enforce. The reason why she's brilliant is because Washington, our politicians, our elected officials have done absolutely nothing to cure the problem of illegal immigration in the U.S.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're not enforcing the law?
Because it's politics. Because we, as Hispanics, our population is growing. Our kids are getting older. We're becoming a very strong voting bloc.
Fernando, if you're illegal, you can't vote.
No, but there are families of the illegals can vote.
Yeah, but those families who are here legally went through the process.
I understand that, but you're asking me very simply, why are they not doing anything?
Okay.
They're doing nothing simply because there hasn't been fire lit up,
no, the reason is congressmen and newspaper editors want exactly the cheap labor that Domingo was talking about, because they need someone to raise their children, to do their gardening for them, to drive their cars. What, normally
do you think that's still the case with unemployment and at 10%, 12%?
Yes, but these are all yuppies. It's not like illegal immigrants from Mexico are coming and taking the jobs of senators and congressmen and high-level officials at the INS. As soon as they do, we'll have a changed policy on illegal immigration.
Go ahead, Domingo, what do you want to say?
Well, I would say this law is the most un-Christian, unconstitutional, un-American law since Jim Crow laws of the 1960s. What the Governor Brewer has done in Arizona is she's made every police officer in Arizona into a Border Patrol agent. And anybody who looks reasonably suspicious is not going to be Ann. It's going to be somebody who looks like me. And I'm going to be stopped, and I'm going to be asked, and people that look like me are going to be stopped and asked for their papers. That sounds like something in Nazi Germany or communist Russia. Doesn't sound like the United States of America.
If you think the Arizona law is racist, and as Janine just went through, the Mexican law is so much more racist. Why are we letting racists into our country?
Well, the situation here is very simple. Now it's a national issue, and the issue is being addressed.
Okay.
And it's being addressed, and hopefully we're going to find a cure to this problem. I believe that the 12 million undocumented immigrants that have lived in this country and have not committed a crime should be given a break. They should be given an opportunity. I think that they provide great service for our country, and if they're able to pay taxes, we're going to have a better country.
You know what? And if they do pay taxes, and that's what we're waiting for. Okay, Domingo, Fernando, and thank you for that very exciting discussion. Coming up, the debate over the ICE announcement that they may not follow Arizona law and even process the illegals. One of the major legal issues regarding the immigration law is reasonable suspicion and probable cause, meaning just who can the police stop and why. Joining me now are former Florida Circuit Court Judge Larry Seidlin, former federal prosecutor Lise Weil, Pinal County, Arizona Sheriff Paul Babu is still with us, and defense attorney Michael Cardoza. I'm going to start with you, Sheriff, because we didn't finish in the last segment. Talk to us about what is going on. Apparently, you've had some cops who've been killed by illegal aliens, and you're not even a border county with Mexico. Is that true?
That's correct. Well, we have had officers throughout Arizona that have been killed either directly at the hands of criminal illegal immigrants, and also in car wrecks, with drunk drivers. And these are people, 17% of all the illegals already have a criminal record here in Arizona that come in here. So this is a huge problem. And just 3-4 weeks ago now, one of my deputies was shot by a paramilitary group that was transporting and escorting, guarding a drug load, and they shot one of my deputies. But he is safe and he is fine. All
right. Well, our prayers are with him, Sheriff. I guess when you look at the statistics, Phoenix being the kidnapping capital of not just the United States, but of, the Northern Hemisphere, Western Hemisphere, and the fact that we've got something like 40% of the inmates in Arizona jails who are there for crimes other than being illegal are illegal aliens, and something like 83% of warrants for murder in Phoenix are for illegal aliens. What is it like in Arizona?
It's very difficult. And now when our job is already a tough job to begin with, when you have the president and Eric Holder piling on and planting in people's minds that somehow that our officers who are charged with safeguarding our citizens are going to profile people is outrageous. Okay. I have 200 plus of my officers who are Hispanic in a third of my county, and we profile criminal activity, not people for their race, color, or national origin.
And I'm going to go to Lise Weil, former federal prosecutor. Lise, they amended the law.
Right.
Senate Bill 1070 says race cannot be used as a basis for reasonable suspicion questions. Talk to us. Walk us through probable cause and reasonable suspicion.
Well, when you look at this bill, it's very clear on the face of it. Now, the application may be different, but on the face of it, that it's constitutional. Because when this first came out, everybody said, oh, my goodness, you can just be pulled over for looking a certain way. Absolutely not.
Well, the president himself said you could be going to the ice cream parlor and you could be profiled.
I wonder if the people that are saying that have read this bill. I mean, that's been...
Well, they mostly admitted that they haven't.
A lot of them haven't.
All right, Michael Cardoza, let me go to you. You heard what Lise said.
Sure.
Do you agree with the fact, Michael, that the way the law is written requires that the police, unlike the feds, who don't even need the probable cause, have to have you stopped for a legal reason before they can even inquire? Yes, no?
That's going to be the big issue here. There are going to be two words that will affect how this bill will come out, and that's lawful contact. Did the police have lawful contact with the person that they're asking papers from? I'll give you an example. I call the police because my home's been burglarized. The police come to my home. That's a lawful contact. Can they then ask me for papers? Under this law, yes. The big issue will be, how do you define lawful contact? They may well, and this is what people are worried about, may be able to stop people, depending on how the courts define that term.
Do you agree that we've got 40 years of case law and precedent establishing totality of circumstances?
Right, exactly. I mean, Michael, you have to admit, and I'm sure you have read the Senate Bill 1070, that if they come to your house, and they have legal contact, they then have to have that reasonable suspicion that Janine was talking about, that you're engaged in illegal activity. Now, wait a second, though, Michael. Being an illegal alien is, by definition, illegal activity right there. So if they have suspicion that you may be an illegal alien,
there's also something else in the law.
And that's what I'm saying. If you're driving down the street and they look and they see certain type of clothes that to them may indicate that you're an illegal alien, they then can stop you. Some may argue that. Some may argue that.
I'm going to stop it here, guys. Bottom line is, if they think you're gang related, they can ask you a question anyway, so don't go to the closed